Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to another movie review for the Sylvester Stallone, and of course the fourth movie in the Rocky series. And today I'm gonna do my retrospective review, Rocky 4. And yes, Rocky 4 to me is the best Rocky movie of all time. I love this movie to death. This is my favorite Rocky movie. And yes, Rocky 4 to me is a classic. It's actually an 80s revenge action film. It's more than sports drama. It's actually an 80s action film. And I do have the Blu-ray, so that's the fourth one. Yes, I love this movie to death. Rocky 4, a classic. And yes, to me, the best Rocky film. This is the best Rocky film. I really enjoy Rocky 4. This is the back. Rocky 4 is definitely my personal favorite movie of all time. So, my history with Rocky 4, when I was 7 years old, 8 years old, my dad bring me Rocky film. If you watch my review on the first Rocky, which I did a retrospective review, you already know the history, but I'm gonna repeat the history. When I was 7 years old, my dad bring me Rocky VHS tape, and when I watched the first Rocky, I was not interested. I was not even that much surprised. The movie did not surprise me. I wasn't interested. I thought Rocky is an action film. I didn't know it's a sports drama at that time because I was way too young to understand. I was more into action films at the time. But I think it was a year later. I'm sure it was a year later. Definitely was a year or 2 years later, around 1992, 1993, when my dad bring me home Rocky 4 VHS tape with another 80s film together. There are like two tapes. I don't remember the title, which one already was, but that time when I saw Rocky 4 title it on a empty VHS tape, I said, Dad, I'm not gonna watch this movie. But my dad insisted to give it a chance. He said, you should watch it. It's a good movie. Watch it. My dad insisted. So I watched Rocky 4 and I was blown away. So yeah, so that's my history with Rocky 4. Rocky 4 was the reason why I became Sylvester Stallone fan. Rocky 4 was the reason why I wanted to see Rocky 5, why I wanted then to see Rocky 1, 2, and 3. Back in the 90s, there were only 5 Rocky films and 3 Rambo films. But I was that time more interested in Rocky because this is my first film I saw from Sylvester Stallone. This is my first Sylvester Stallone film. And also Rocky 4 was still my dad's favorite movie. And I can say this, that a lot of bad things my dad did in my youth when I was young, but there are also good things that he did, and I'm actually proud on him on two things. The first one is that he inspired me and he insisted that I give a chance to Rocky 4. The other one was when he was supporting me by making driving's license, which I did. That time, like Rocky, I had no money. I was out of money. I was like Rocky. He didn't have money for food, so he sold. So Stallone sold his dog Batkus so he could buy his food. But my dad that time, I had no money for driving's license. For the test driving, I had no money. I ran out of money. I was broke, but my dad was there for me, and he was paying the test. He was actually paying the test driving, the hours for the test driving. He was paying. So this is the second thing I'm proud on him. My dad's now in a retired home. I think he's okay. But last year he got very sick during the COVID-19, and I lost my dad. So I have no brothers, no sisters. I'm alone. I'm an only child. So yeah, but Rocky 4 was the one that my dad bring me a VHS tape, and Rocky 4 was the reason why I became Stallone fan. and why to me it's the best Rocky, So that's my history with Rocky. Rocky 4 is my favorite Rocky film. Now my retrospective review, retrospective way is this. So Rocky, now when I revisited it, I have not seen a year. Last year I saw Rocky films in August. Now we are June, Today is June, I think 22, June 22. So last year I watched Rocky films in August. This year I did it in June because I decided to review a few Stallone films, because you can see my title. My username is Rambo McLean for life, and stands Rambo and Die Hard, this movie. But I'm also not only a fan of Rambo, I'm also a fan of a lot of movies that Sylvester Stallone did. He's my favorite action star. And I'm also a huge fan of Rocky film, and I'm the biggest fan of Rocky 4. Yeah, I don't have Rocky 4 poster because I don't have money that much, because I already bought all those posters, so I don't have Rocky 4 poster. I don't need that, but I have this. I do have this like original cover, Sylvester Stallone, Rocky 4. I love Paulie and Duke and Rocky with the American flag. Yeah. But Rocky 4, I don't know, it's actually a revenge film. It's an 80s revenge film. It's an action film, and definitely one of the best 80s action films. And this movie came out the same year as Rambo First Blood Part 2. Sylvester Stallone was hired to star in Beverly Hills Cop, but he was changing the script, and that time the producers and executive of Paramount said it's gonna be very expensive for the effects that he wanted to do, so they fired him and cast Eddie Murphy instead. So Sylvester Stallone instead Beverly Hills Cop. He did Rhinestone, and that movie sucked. It bombed. It was garbage. It was awful pile of shit. So Stallone knew he had to do something else. And yes, during the 1982, he wanted Rocky to be a trilogy, and he had no any plans to do the fourth one. But he knew that his career is sinking. Right after First Blood, after Rocky 3 and First Blood, his career is sinking. So he had to do something new, and he was planning to do a sequel, Rambo First Blood Part 2. And if you watch, Rambo First Blood Part 2 was the first movie released in 1985. It made worldwide, it earned $300 million. And it was actually released, I think was released in May. I think the movie was released somewhere 25, 28 May, somewhere there. But it made 300 worldwide, and it also broke all the records, And Rambo First Part 2 was the one that actually made Rambo a hero and an icon. Not First Blood. When First Blood came out, people didn't know nothing about it. But yeah, Sylvester Stallone focused and decided to do on Rocky 4. And Rocky 4 was released November 27 in the US, 1985. And Rocky 4, with Rambo First Part 2, this movie made $300 million worldwide. It broke any record in the history on the 80s. It's the only Rocky movie that made the most money. The only Rocky movie. Not Balboa, not Rocky 5, not the first 3 Rocky movies, not even Creed movies that are garbage. No, this movie made the most money. And thank God they have written on this cover. Written and directed by Sylvester Stallone. Yes, Sylvester Stallone wrote the screenplay once again, directed the film. Rocky 4 made $127.8 million. So yeah, it made $127 million in the US and in Canada, and $300 million worldwide, the most of any Rocky films. So this movie made the most money. This movie made the most money ever. Yeah, it made the most money ever. And Rocky 4, I would say it's a fantastic sequel. It's the 4th movie in the installment, and it's definitely the best of the best. To me, it's the best Rocky. That's the disc. And I know I said Rocky 3 is actually my second favorite, and Rocky 1 is actually my third favorite. But now when I was actually I watched this movie today because I still enjoy it, because it's only 1 hour 31 minutes long. It's the shortest Rocky film. But yesterday I was actually very thinking about the Rocky films, and now Rocky 1, the original, is actually my second favorite. Then will be number 3 will be now Rocky 2, and so far number 4 I would say Rocky 3. Yes, I kind of replace it. It's hard to choose that, but Rocky 4 is my favorite Rocky film. This is my favorite Rocky film. It always will be. This was the movie that made me into Stallone fan. I'm gonna keep saying. My dad insisted I watch this movie. That's why I wanted to see Rocky 5, and later I wanted to see Rocky 1. But no, Rocky 3 was the third film I actually saw. Until years later, when Rocky Trilogy was on TV, and the first time in history I watched the first one, and then the second one, and then once again Rocky 3. But no 4 and 5 at the time, 1997, I don't know why. I have no explanation why they weren't on our programs that time. But yeah, Rocky 4. I watched even. It's actually it was already 35 year anniversary. It was already 35 year anniversary, and Stallone is making now the ultimate director's cut, which is gonna be released on the same date. I don't want nothing to say on this movie about Stallone, whatever he's doing. But I'm might gonna do another video, and that's gonna be a reaction. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna do a reaction, my thoughts on Rocky 4 director's cut. But Rocky 4 to me is actually the best film, the best Rocky film. It's my favorite Rocky film with Rocky 1, because I have a history with Rocky 1 and Rocky 4. I do have history with Rocky 3 too, but I have the most history with Rocky 4 and Rocky 1. And I would say Rocky 2 because Apollo Creed is such a great character. But I also love Ivan Drago, played by Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren at that time, he only had small appearance in A View to a Kill because he was dating Grace Jones that time. But if you watch my review on A View to a Kill, because I reviewed all the James Bond films, I actually said that that Christopher Walker should be really afraid. Even if he had Mayday, Russian General Gogol, he had Dolph Lundgren in his corner. Dolph Lundgren will kill all of them, because Dolph Lundgren is such a badass. And my dad said that he's a huge fan of Dolph Lundgren because he loved the character and the actor. And this is such a cool character, one of the best characters Sylvester Stallone ever created. Ivan Drago, the Siberian Express, the Siberian Bull, death from a bow. But yeah, I'm huge. I was, even as a kid, I was the biggest fan of Ivan Drago. I was the biggest fan of Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren's best performance, Sylvester Stallone's best performance. It's still impossible to root for Rocky Balboa to get up of the canvas and whoop that bully one more time. Rocky 4 to me ended the franchise. There was no need for next sequel. There was no need for Rocky 5, Balboa, and Creed 1 and 2. Rocky 4 ended it because Rocky 4 is still at the top of the world. He beat the best. He actually beat the greatest champion, the greatest ultimate fighting machine fighter ever. He beat the champion of the world, the champion of the champion, That's why I called Ivan Drago the Siberian Bull, or the Siberian Express. I call him the greatest champion, the greatest fighter of all time, of all generation. He beat him. He was happy on the end. He was on the top of the world. He's still the champion. He's the best of the best. No one beat so far Ivan Drago. He was undefeated. Rocky was the only one that defeated him. So this movie ended it. It ended the Rocky series. Rocky 4 ended the Rocky series. There was no need for Rocky 5. There's no need for Balboa. No need for Creed 1 and 2. There's no need for 4 movies. Rocky 4 ended it. It was ended the franchise, in my opinion. It ended the Rocky series. It's over. Because I love the final aspect of the film, because because he was at the top of the world, He defeated Ivan Drago. He didn't kill him. He defeated him, and he was also he defeated him, and he was also the top of the world, And yeah, also the music score was this time by Vince DiCola because Bill Conti was so busy for the Karate Kid Part 2, and he was unavailable, because they were shooting the Karate Kid Part 2 with John G. Avildsen, and he was unavailable to make a music score for the fourth Rocky movie. So Vince DiCola steps out, and Vince DiCola, in my opinion, did a great music score, best music score. This movie it's not over dramatic, it's fast paced, and I also love the soundtracks. This movie has tons of great soundtracks. It has Survivor, Eye of the Tiger, the open scene. Then we have the scene Double or Nothing, which is my favorite, which is actually another my favorite song, and by Gladys Knight and Kenny Loggins. There was also, I think, there was this that song I can't remember by Go West. I just forgot that song. But that's okay. I'm not perfect. I'm not professional. Also, there's No Easy Way Out with Robert Tepper. I like that song. But my favorite of the movie is actually Hearts on Fire by John Cafferty, written by Vince DiCola. John Cafferty's performance by Hearts on Fire is my favorite of the song. Also, the training montage in this movie is fantastic. And I watch this movie every time over especially the winter time, because Rocky's training in the winter. So I always watch this movie over the winter. I always listen the song during the winter. I listen the song Hearts on Fire because definitely the best song in my opinion. Rocky, the best song in any Rocky films because it has tons of soundtracks. I enjoy the song Hearts Burning Heart. But actually, Hearts on Fire by John Cafferty, written by Vince DiCola, is fantastic. Vince DiCola's War is also the fighting montage was also fantastic. Especially Hearts on Fire is the greatest song ever, in my opinion. One of my favorite songs. Double or Nothing is also my favorite song with Hearts on Fire. But yeah, Double or Nothing, I really enjoy for the Polished Robot, I enjoy actually Polished Robot. But yeah, I enjoy Polished Robot. Apollo Creed, played by Carl Weathers, is back in the movie, and I respect this movie because Sylvester Stallone returned all the cast from the previous 3 Rocky movies. He returned all the cast. So Apollo Creed did return, which I love that, I love Apollo Creed. And for the Rocky movies, I watched this one the most I watched. As a kid, when I was a teen, I always thought Rocky 4 is the best. Even Rocky 4 is actually my dad's favorite. So that's one of the reasons why Rocky 3 is not my favorite, it's Rocky 4. And I'm gonna do my rankings of the Rocky films. But I'll definitely say Rocky 4 is my favorite, always going to be my favorite, even though I love Rocky 3 a lot, but I love Rocky 4 to death, But I've been talking about almost 19 minutes about the film, I have not even go to the story. Just Sanchez cool facts if I forgot about it. By the way, when you see the fight scenes, between Sylvester Stallone and Ivan Drago, Dolph Lundgren, that was done for real. It wasn't CGI, it wasn't shaky cam, they really did touch each other. And yes, they actually really did touch each other. And during the outtakes, Sylvester Stallone insisted that Dolph Lundgren, who was a martial artist, and Sylvester Stallone did a sparring, during 3 outtakes for real, and Dolph Lundgren punched so hard, in the chest, Sylvester Stallone, that he slammed him in the bone back, so that his heart starts swelling. And during the night, Stallone couldn't breathe, couldn't breathe, and he was taken in the hospital. He had to fly. I think he was flying from Canada to through Santa Monica, because he was actually in the intense care for 4 days. Because his heart was actually swallowing, he had really hard time breathing because of it. It caused 4 days of delay because Dolph Lundgren really punched him in the chest. You can read it on trivia. Another cool facts and realistic facts is during the fight between Carl Weathers and Dolph Lundgren. Carl Weathers was actually really slammed. When you see Ivan Drago throwing in the ring, Apollo Creed, that was done for real, because Carl Weathers got pissed and he started calling profanity on Dolph Lundgren. It was a hot blood, they did not get along, and Carl Weathers shouted profanity on Dolph Lundgren, and he said to Stallone, "I'm quitting the movie," and he was calling his agent. But Sylvester Stallone it actually caused 4 days. Once again, 4 days of delay, and Sylvester Stallone tried to talk out those two men, to lower their ego, and to lower their ego, he tried to calm the bad blood between those two down. And Carl Weathers was then, he actually was then convinced to return as Apollo Creed to finish the final scene. And one of the reasons was also Dolph Lundgren toned down his aggressory. Also, Dolph Lundgren stated that I think it was because Carl Weathers was kind of afraid of him, because Dolph Lundgren was aggressive, but he was also a martial artist. And also for the film, I had no idea, but Arnold Schwarzenegger trained Dolph Lundgren for preparing for the film, which I'm really surprised. I thought that Arnold Schwarzenegger hated that Stallone, because they both hated each other in the 80s. And Schwarzenegger was angry because Commando did not it wasn't so successful like Rambo First Part 2. And I'm surprised he trained. I guess Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted that Dolph Lundgren really whoop Stallone's ass. But yeah, that's fantastic in the film, But yeah, and also if you ask me about Sylvester Stallone's diet or strict physics, like I knew in Rocky 3, I did not research his diet or the streak about it, I did not research it, but Rocky, Sylvester Stallone really did he was in great shape of his life. He was training hard. He had a hard diet, his physique, because previously he did Rambo First Part 2, and he was training for 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 months, and he was in great shape of his life. I mean, watch his pumping iron body, watch his body. The first 2 movies, watch his body in this movie. He was fantastic. Watch his body, So Sylvester Stallone was really the top of the game the time, He was fantastic. He was great. So those are also cool facts. One of the cool facts was also that that time, the 80s, during the Cold War, Soviets were not allowed to fight professionally in the boxing because it was Cold War. One of the reasons is that people really hate this film. Like, there was this bitch from Russia was insulting Apollo Creed, calling him Negro. I was punching him in the face. Oh, but that's not how Russians were. I was shut the fuck up. It's written on Wikipedia, that stupid bitch. Hope she already died. I wish she already died. The fuck outside. Fucking farmers outside. Redneck farmers. Anyway, So yeah, but people hate this film. It's like their least favorite. It's my favorite Rocky film. Always gonna be my favorite Rocky film. I'll say the best Rocky, not Rocky 1. This is the best Rocky film. But people hated it, They like back in 2007, it was around December. I wrote down. No, actually, I think it was in September or October. I wrote down when I saw the clip on YouTube, the fight between Ivan Drago and Apollo Creed. I wrote that it's realistic. It could happen in real life, and some moron asshole went on my comment and wrote, "Oh, they didn't even touch each other." Yes, they did touch each other. Well, where were you living? I was like, "Thanks, man, for ruining my comment." But actually, they did really touch each other because Ivan Drago, Dolph Lundgren, throw out of the ring Apollo Creed, Carvetters. And they really had hot blood. It's all right in trivia if you don't believe it. The facts are speaking, man. And yeah, during Stallone, after Drago lost, he was like became alcoholic, and then he like died because he was embarrassed. But I think Stallone was egoistic that time, so he fucked up because he decided to make Creed 2 and Hoorah, Drago Return in a terrible way. I was so disappointed with Creed 2, So thanks a lot, Stallone, for ruining it, But yeah, that's actually the cool facts, Now to the story, you already know the story, what's about. Rocky Balboa is still the champion. He's the champion of the people. Not Sami Zayn from WWE, that's Rocky Balboa. He's the champion of the people. So shut up, Sami Zayn. I wish that Kevin Owens would give him a stunner. Because that idiot from WWE is completely insane, Anyway, so Rocky Balboa is a champion. And of course, in the United States, Ivan Drago, the Siberian Express, came into the United States in order to have exhibition match between American champions, and just like kickboxer, this is before kickboxer, because so he's I think he's that's Ivan Drago. So his trainer and his manager, Nikolai Kolo, played by Michael Pataki, is convinced that Ivan Drago can defeat anyone. And he said they want to have an exhibition match between their famous champion Rocky Balboa. And when Apollo Creed hears this, he gets angry, he gets angry, and he calls Rocky and asks him if he will be interested in training him for the exhibition match between Russian Siberian Express, Ivan Drago, because he wants to show that Russia doesn't have the best athletes, And even Talia Shire, Talia Shire, she plays Adrian. I think, yeah, that's Adrian. That's actually Adrian. She's against it. She doesn't support Apollo's decision or Rocky's decision, in which Rocky will go. She doesn't support his decision. In which Apollo, he wants to go back in the ring, and she says, you retire, I was like, I don't know why Stallone did that, but I hated Adrian in this movie. I hated her. Thank God Talia Shire wasn't that much in the film. Thank God, but she was kind of annoying. Even in Rocky 2, she was annoying, but I kind of liked that she minded her own business, And we see a fight from Rocky 2, when Apollo is watching the fight. I just love Apollo's speech, I just love Apollo's speech. And I think that Sylvester Stallone borrowed his lines from First Blood and put it in this movie, in which Apollo says, you can't just turn off and you just can't, the killing instinct, you just can't turn on and turn off, like some radio. It's just like the same speech was kind of motivation speech was kind of in First Blood. It was a more word. I didn't ask for you. You asked for me. I do everything to win, but someone that doesn't want it has win. I can't come the world. I see those yellow maggots. Those I saw those maggots spitting and telling me white crap, like baby killer on white crap. Who are the protesters? Who are they? And I said, seen that and been telling me. They know what the hell is hacking about. That's Stallone from First Blood. Rambo, First Blood. Anyway. So Apollo, he's a great talker. He gives a motivation speech to Rocky, and Rocky says a great speech. What's gonna be next? I always find something. So we have a great. So you see, there's two guys. We also do have that press conference. This is the press conference, and Apollo Creed and Ivan Drago does not get along. Just like in real life, those two did not get along. They did not get along. It's definitely one of my favorite moments. I non-stop watch these favorite moments. And yes, to me, Rocky 4 is realistic. Is realistic. It's the best. It's my favorite. It's my movie. It's my favorite action film for all time. My favorite Stallone film. So yeah, Rocky. So I kind of don't remember exactly the quotes from Apollo Creed, but what are you talking about? That's actually him. So what are you talking about? You get box, yes, but you're far too old to win or drag. You said a fact. Yeah, it's gonna be a painful one. I just love that. During the press conference, Apollo says I just want to show that Russia doesn't have the greatest athletes. So when one of the journalists asks Drago, what's your opinion on what's your comment on the fighting with Apollo? And like Apollo says, he's starting in costume, and Ludmila Drago, played by Bridget Nielsen, I forgot to mention Bridget Nielsen. She after this movie was actually finished, she married Sylvester Stallone, but I think was in in August 1987 she divorced him. But I think that when this movie, I think was in 25 December on Christmas, she actually married Sylvester Stallone that time, when this movie was finished. So yeah, during the press conference, there was a really blood hit, which was really a bad blood between those two athletes, and of course when Ludmila Drago, played by Bridget Nielsen, she says, so yeah, it's actually Apollo Creed is very known and respected in our country. It's gonna be a good victory, and like Apollo's what? You can really think you can win me, do you? And she's, what kind of sure you can win? Well, I've been with the best. I beat the best. I even beat so many, even the Social Security. You are unrealistic. I'm Mr. Creed. Who are you? What are you talking about? Where do you come from? You can box, yes, but you're far too old to win over Drago. Is that a fact? Yeah, that is a painful one. Put this heavy bag, boss, in the ring and see the middle pain. Why you keep insulting us? Hold on, don't make me the bad guy. I came here to talk about Fred exhibition to comrade Big Mouth Stan. It's you who are the aggressor. I want to say in the press that you should even fight me because he has been. Okay, just put this guy jump a ring and see them. Just put this guy jump, and like Drago goes and pushes Apollo. And Apollo says, alright, I say I've been your history champ, your history, your person, your history champ, your history. And I just love that the bad blood between Apollo and Ivan Drago, and any of the opponents, Ivan Drago was quiet, he just waited the right opportunity and he struck like a scorpion. He was quiet, he was just quiet. He didn't talk that much like Apollo Creed in the first two movies or Clubber Lang in the third movie, So during the exhibition match in Las Vegas, Apollo Creed is actually tries his best, but he can't even hurt Ivan Drago. Ivan Drago goes and beats the living hell out of him, and during the second round, because Rocky says, but champ, you can't do it anymore. You can't do it. I can call it off, and Apollo says, no, don't call it off. But champ, you can't do it, man. He's killing you. I ain't stopping. No, not stopping nothing. And I love when Apollo, he goes, in the ring like a hero. He goes and he gets killed. He gets killed. In real life, I think that Ivan Drago will be disqualified because he threw the judge out of the ring, and he will be disqualified and charged with manslaughter, but it's actually a fiction. This is a Hollywood movie, so they can really get away. But yeah, the second time, this is the first time Sylvester Stallone and Bridget Nielsen worked together. They collaborated later in Cobra together, which I reviewed that movie last year. It's still on my channel. But Rocky IV is a fantastic film. So now since Apollo died, Rocky Balboa challenges Ivan Drago to the fight in Soviet Union on Christmas 25th December. And because it was told there, because there was all threats everywhere, and they call Ivan Drago a killer, because Ludmila Drago says he's a professional boxer, not killer. He was actually Soviet army, and he fought in army, so Rocky decides to avenge his best friend's death, because he couldn't stop it. Duke told him, throw the towel, and he doesn't, and Rocky, this is not for the title. The box commission office has not admitted the fight, it's actually for the honor. This movie is, this match is actually for the honor, between the US and Cold War, the Russians, and this movie inspired that Rocky win the Cold War. He win the Cold War. I think there is a clip in which someone said, they were actually cheering for Rocky, and Rocky really did inspire to end the Cold War between US and Russia, and that's Russia, and I love that, And so Rocky, he flies now to Russia, and I love Paulie, Burt Young, I forgot to mention him. He always makes me laugh, this movie. He goes to the Rose Bowls, I hope no Antony, no Spidey, but how the heck is gonna train here, Oh my god, my comic books, what a depressing vacation, and he lands in the snow. I was like laughing my ass. Oh my god, Paulie always makes me laugh. I love the guy to death. Burt Young's best performance of all the Rocky films, this is to me his best performance, because I like him in this movie more, Or when they give him a robot, I forgot to mention, they give him a robot. They've been seeing it. They actually always celebrate his birthday. And yes, even I watch Rocky IV on my birthday sometimes, because they celebrate Paulie's birthday the first time in all Rocky movies. And I love the son of Rocky, Rocky Krakow Jr. played his son much better than all his real life sons. And the best thing about this film is also Rocky Jr. But he's the only one that supports Rocky. His wife is a bitch. Yeah, I call her a bitch. She goes and screams like, "You can't win! Can you read the newspaper? What's she doing, Rocky? You can't read the newspaper, it's suicide! You can't win!" I was like, shut the fuck up, Talia Shire. I'm not gonna punch your guts out, bitch. And the best thing was Rocky Jr. in this movie. I said the last channel, I said it again. He was the best thing. He was the best. But the best scene was when Rocky and Rocky Jr. are talking to each other, and Rocky Jr. is the only one that supports him. His bitch wife shows up later when Rocky already was jogging the first time, the first training montage. She shows up later, But yeah, the best thing was Rocky with his son, talking with his son. That is the best thing, in my opinion. There's also a flashback montage with Robert Tepper's No Easy Way Out, when Rocky goes with the car, and we see all the previous moments from Rocky 1, 2, and 3, and how Apollo Creed became the greatest competitor of Rocky, greatest enemy of Rocky, greatest ally, and a hero, and how was killed. There's also, Sylvester Stallone had a long cut, I think it was 2 hours long cut, but he had to shorten it to 1 hour, 31 minutes. It's fast paced, so that's awesome. So now Rocky flies to Russia in the barn, and Rocky, he decides to training really hard. Rocky goes training really hard. Against protest of his stupid wife, Rocky trains very hard. Then Natalia Shire returns, and they hug each other. Rocky trains with a great music score, Hair's on Fire, until he runs the mountain, and then he decides, he shouts Drago, and now in the fight, Rocky goes through 15 rounds to the distance, fights off Ivan Drago and beats the hell out of him, and at the end he knocks him down and wins, and I love his speech, if I can change, you can change. There's 2 guys killing each other, but better than twice million. And I don't want to go that guy who was that guy, interviewer who was asking what he meant that, if you can change, I can change, then everyone can change, and I love when Rocky says, I wish to Merry Christmas to my son, so Merry Christmas, I love you. I just love Rocky Jr. says, I love you, I love his 2 guys, two friends, when Rocky Jr. says, that's my dad, we know, what are you, nerds? I love those two kids, what happened in Rocky 5? Why Rocky Krakow didn't return? Fuck Rocky 5 and Creed movies. That's my opinion. This movie ended the franchise, ended Rocky series. This is the last Rocky movie. It ended Rocky series. Oh yeah, Rocky Boy is great. I love Rocky Balboa. Rocky 4 ended the series for me. That's just me. So then you have a great montage on the end by Hands on Fire, John Cafferty. I love that song to death. I love Vince DiCola's War, the fighting montage, the boxing match montage, the boxing montage, War. I enjoyed that. But yeah. So that's the story. Rocky then wins and the movie ends, Now, I actually talk about the film, the facts, and I talk about the story, It's actually when East meets West, best of the best. So now I'm gonna go my retrospective review, and that means a retrospective way. What's my respect and retrospect, in my opinion? And to me, this movie is realistic. It feels realistic. So, which I didn't say, but I'm gonna talk what's the best of the film. The best of the film are actually the training montage. The training montage are actually the best. The first training montage with Vince DiCola, who was actually the main team, I enjoy. There are a lot of really great techniques that Sylvester Stallone as Rocky is training. I don't know about chopping that long tree. I think it will probably took weeks till Rocky will chop it off, But when he was running through the snow, or when he was dragging that long wood, just like in Rocky 2, but this time the snow, that was very dangerous. That was very hard training sequence. Or when he was running during the snow scenes, he was running. That was realistic. My dad said it's natural. Well, Ivan Drago is training in the hall. He was in the gym. He's actually training in the gym. Sylvester Stallone is training in outside. which is more natural. Sylvester Stallone really trained natural, and the training montage is excellent. I still don't know about that's no skills or how you say it. You know, when Sylvester Stallone is like go with that rope, you know, and like Paulie is sitting on it, you know. I don't know that, but I think that will be it will take more ropes, you know, so that Rocky could continue climbing, crawling down. There was also a scene, I think there was another scene besides Rocky's jogging, you know, like Rocky, he's like making push-ups, you know, in front of his head, behind back. That's really hard scene. I don't know how Stallone did, but he did natural. There was also a scene. The training sequences are fantastic in my opinion. There was also when I thought that Sylvester Stallone, he was outside during the winter, and it was actually a huge winter, and he was in the night, and he was keep continue, you know, sparring and throwing punches in the air. I thought that was done for real. That was done realistic. There was also there was also a lot of great training montage the first time. The second training montage was with Hearts on Fire, which I thought that scene when I think Paulie was on the barn, you know, in the open, in the second montage with Hearts on Fire, Paulie is holding Sylvester Stallone for the legs, and he's like he keeps continue making push-ups down the air, which is very dangerous, but that scene is great executed. Stallone did fantastic. He did for realistic. There's another scene in which he was keep putting legs in the air, you know, and I think it was all hot while he was sweating, and like Stallone did a fantastic fighting job. He was sweating, he was training. The training sequences were fantastic. Besides the jogging scene, yeah, I forgot to mention the open scene in the training. You know, Sylvester Stallone grabs that horse and helps, you know, that man to put that saddle, you know, for the horse's back. Enjoy that scene. There's also a scene because like for Drago, they said there's a lot of dope in that time. It's actually true. He gets a needle. Sylvester Stallone trains the Rocky Balboa trains naturally. I love when he jogs in the mountain. I love that scene. It wasn't actually in Russia. It was Wyoming that time in the mountain. But I enjoy when Stallone is running the mountain. You know, he's like shouting, "Drago, Drago!" I love that scene. There was some guy who did Rocky 4, you know. He was a huge fan of all the Rocky 4 movies, and he did that the same training sequences. And there's also another scene when Rocky is like grabbing the rope, you know. Yeah, that scene. But actually, Rocky is grabbing the rope with the rocks, you know, and he turns around. That scene is very dangerous because the guy did the same scenario, and I think at first it was kind of really hard to get the rhythm because Stallone turns around, you know, and those rocks are kind of very hard, you know, to push up. That was really great pacing. I mean, Stallone was in great shape and great diet. He trained hard. He sweat for the role, you know, and that was all natural. That was realistic, in my opinion. Grabbing a rope and lifting up the rocks, you know, while turning around the 360 degree. That was very, very realistic and dangerous with the rope. Or when he was like making that punching bag and he punches, great scene. And there's another scene in which Dolph Lundgren lifts that heavy weights, you know, he goes and lifts that weights. He goes and lifts that very lifting the weights, you know, was very, very dangerous, which I love that. Yeah, I just love that, you know. Great performance. And Sylvester Stallone grabs he grabs Duke and Paulie and Adrian and lifts them up That would be I actually think that that scene will be kind of unrealistic because I'll be honestly, but when I try to live to around 200 weight, the time, I'm actually small. So I don't think that Stallone would be managed to hold them up because the camera does not show lifting them up. He only shows half of it, So I don't think that one would be realistic. Stallone had to be 7 foot tall, like Kevin Peter Hall from Predator to lift them up, So that's kind of unrealistic. No offense, but the rest training sequences are realistic. Now, the fight scenes, the match to me is the best fight, the match, when I would say Sylvester Stallone and Dolph Lundgren really did hit each other because Stallone insisted. They really did spar, so Dolph Lundgren really did hit Stallone, and he really did puts him a lot of punches, he puts him a lot of punches, he threw them in the ring, he even threw them on the floor. That was realistic in my opinion, and I don't give a fuck whoever says my review. Like people said, oh, that's not realistic. It's realistic. He threw him on the floor the first round. The second round, he keeps starting him, punches him until Rocky goes, and he completely gives him the best fight, the best punch in the fucking eye. He completely made him bleed. That's great, bloody scene. And Rocky goes after him, throwing punches in the fucking face, and Drago grabs him, punches him, and like a wrestler, they hit each other. That is done for real. And that's realistic in my opinion. And I love then Vince DeCoola's war, the match montage. You have like 50 rounds, they both fight each other. And I just always enjoy the final fight. Is the best fight of all Rocky movies. I always enjoy that. This is the best fight. It's realistic. That's my retrospective way to say that the training sequences and the final fight is fantastic. And there's camera keeps lifting up in there, when you see both men punching each other in the face, all bloody. I mean, the fight scene, especially the final 15th round, when Stallone goes, and just like Apollo teach him, he goes around, and throw punches on Drago, and he knocks him down, and he keeps provoking, come on. And Drago says to the end, or Drago says, I must break you. I just love that lines, till the end. Or when Nikolai Kolov goes and shouting, idiot, and he goes to the train to disgrace, idiot, win, and he goes, grabs, Nikolai and throws it there and says, I'll win for me. Yes, senor! I fight for myself, My dad always loved that scene when Dolph Lundgren shouts, yes, senor! Always loved that scene. And I love when Stallone goes, kicks his ass, he goes, kicks his ass, knocks him down, and the first time we see, in another scene that was really inspired, when Drago goes, knocks him down, Stallone stands up right away and continues the fight. I was so inspired when I played basketball and I fall down like Stallone in Rocky IV. I get myself up right away, and that was why it was so inspiring, because when Drago punches him, he goes to lift up. He goes punches that protection for teeth, punches him out. That's so great. The punches, the fight scenes, the soundtracks. It's awesome. This Rocky IV is a fantastic 80s action classic masterpiece Stallone ever did. The best of the best, in my opinion. Yes, Rocky IV, I love to death. One of my personal favorites, Sylvester Stallone movies. My favorite Rocky film, my favorite sports film. It's a revenge 80s action classic, So yeah, there you have a retrospective, because the fight scenes, the second fight between Rocky and Drago is the best. Realistic, the training montage are realistic. I mean, a lot of people are inspired by the training sequences that Sylvester Stallone really did, Even last year, during the COVID-19 crisis, I read in the comments, I was honest. I always watch, especially. Ooh, I really forgot the scene when Stallone grabs the rocks, throws the rocks during the winter. During the winter storm, it's a fantastic. Or during the winter storm, he throws punches, or he uses, or he chops the woods. I love that scene. Always reminds me, and Hearts of Fireplace. He goes chops the woods. I love that scene. Or he goes and uses that saw, hand saw, and tries to saw that long rock, that long wood. He tries to saw it. I love that scene during the winter storm. Or he goes throws the rocks. I love that scene. It's just realistic. The jogging scenes are realistic. He goes in the snow, or he holds that long, that long wood, and he walks in the snow. That scene is fantastic. Or he runs in the snow. It's fantastic. I've been always inspired, running around. I always wanted to fight like Rocky, Rocky 4. Or he runs in the mountain during the winter, during the winter snow, runs on the mountain and doesn't stop. It's just fantastic, It's great. And Rocky 4 is the most shortest of all of them. It's great. Rocky 4 is a fantastic film. It's a fantastic film. To me, it's the best Rocky. Thanks to my dad for insisting and bringing me this movie and insisting to watch it. If I will not watch it, Rocky 4, I will not be a fan of Stallone. I will not be a fan of Rambo films. I will not be a fan of Rocky films. I will not be a fan of Demolition Man if there won't be this movie. So Rocky 4 is the best in my opinion. So there you go, folks, my retrospective review on Rocky 4. I think everyone was waited. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. Peace, have a good day, take care.